Are video game reloads realistic? Well, that largely depends on the game. And technology in video games has progressed exponentially over the past 20 years. We've gone from no reload animations, to rudimentary ones, and now to very detailed ones. So today, we'll look at two games, Escape from Tarkov and Ready or Not. Two games that have you play as people who should be very experienced with firearms. A private military contractor and SWAT operator respectively. My Escape from Tarkov character does not have any mastery for any of the guns. I'll be comparing their reload times to mine. I've never been in the military, and never have been a cop. I do sometimes play airsoft. Now, before we continue, I want to note that I am using airsoft replicas for my reloads. This is because it's illegal where I live to own any of the firearms I am demonstrating with a standard capacity 30 round mag. It sucks. Because of this, there are a couple of caveats to this demo. 1. Real mags are generally heavier than airsoft mags. While this doesn't affect how easily airsoft mags drop free from the guns, it is something to note. And 2. I will not be demoing any reloads involving bolt releases and or charging handles. This is because airsoft bolt releases and charging handle springs are usually much weaker than their real steel counterparts. With all that said, let's get started. We'll start with the AK platform, not a gun people typically associate with law enforcement. However, almost all militaries around the world have at least heard of the weapon, and I would assume have at least a basic understanding of how to operate one. One thing of immediate note is that the AK tactical reloads from both games are really fast. This is mainly because the animation to re-index mags in both games is fast, and doesn't take into account that things can snag when re-indexing mags. The chest rig I'm using is a knockoff Haley Strategic D3CRM, which is specifically designed for re-indexing mags. Even so, I'm not consistent when trying to do it as fast as possible. The animations in game are consistent, and show a perfect re-index every time. Is this realistic? Possibly, with lots of training. But it's hard to imagine a real person doing it that consistently every single time. Now for speed reloads. Ready or Not's AK speed reload is quite fast, but Tarkov seems a little slow. A bit about myself. I use airsoft AKs a lot, and practice manual of arms with them a lot. This includes reloads. Training is the biggest factor in the real world that will speed up your reloads and maintain your consistency. Next, the reliable AR-15. Western law enforcement units should definitely know how to use this platform, and a private military contractor should know how to use one proficiently as well. Before I timed it, I had thought the Ready or Not tactical reload would be significantly faster than the Tarkov reload. In fact, they're not too far in speed. Once again, you'll notice my tactical reloads are slower than both games. Again, this is because the re-index animation is fast and exactly consistent. In all my years of playing airsoft, I have never used the AR-15 platform as a primary, and it shows. Since I never practice with it, my speed and especially my tactical reloads with an AR are a little slower than typical, even though the AR-15 is the most ergonomic weapon platform and should be the fastest reload. Finally, we have the G36. Now you might be asking, why am I including a gun that isn't in Escape from Tarkov? Well, it's my video and I can do what I want. Also, because the G36 is my current primary and what I use the most right now. Anyone who has used a real or airsoft one knows the G36 is annoying to reload. The mags are wider and need their own types of pouches to fit. I've stretched my mag pouches out to fit the mags, but it's still a pain. Additionally, for whatever reason, the G36 mags sometimes like to stay super tight in the mag well. Nevertheless, there are ways to do both tactical and speed reloads for the G36, but re-indexing is even more awkward with G36 mags, and it shows in the times. Part of this, in my opinion, is the fault of Heckler & Co. H&K make the real G36, and have not made the G36 easy for civilians to purchase. This has caused the G36 to be left behind in support equipment, aftermarket attachments, and most importantly, training material. So what can we take away from this? Are these video game reloads realistic? Well, strictly speaking, no. No one would be able to reload consistently in the exact same time no matter the circumstance. And for those wondering, yes, I fumble reloads a lot. What these games' reloads do show is the potential for what is possible in the real world. That, to me, is way more important than splitting hairs about what is realistic or not. Everyone should be striving to be faster, and training is how you'll get faster. If video games can encourage people to train, well, that's the important part. These days, there are many free sources of information online that are amazing sources for training. If you don't have access to a range, or even an airsoft field, these resources are great and free. Free. So go get out there and train. Then you too can get irritated when you see slow reloads in video games.